Welcome to this explainer. Look, there's a massive challenge playing out in boardrooms all over the world right now. And to solve it, we need to put on our elite enterprise consultant hats. Today, we're going to unpack exactly why standard technology deployments so often fail to deliver real impact. But more importantly, we're going to show you how to build a reliable value assurance engine for your organization. So often, we see these massive, multi-million-dollar investments in AI, platform modernization, or operating model redesigns that successfully deliver the tech. But somehow, the actual business impact remains incredibly uneven. We absolutely need to fix that.
Okay, let's kick things off with a pretty jarring statistic: 59%. Our research shows that 59% of enterprises still define transformation value inconsistently across their different functions. Think about what that actually means in practice. If your technology team defines success completely differently than your finance team or your operations team, you are effectively bleeding ROI before execution even begins. You've got localized teams optimizing for completely different outcomes, which just creates immediate structural value conflict.
To solve this, we'll follow a tight, four-part diagnostic framework. First, the transformation paradox. Second, pinpointing the value leaks. Third, the value assurance engine. And finally, the executive playbook. The whole goal today is to shift your focus away from tracking vanity project milestones and toward enforcing systemic, continuous business value.
Let's move right into Section 1, the transformation paradox. We really need to address how the obsession with just going live blinds organizations to their actual business goals. I love this quote from Jayati Chatterjee because she hits the nail right on the head. You know the trap, right? It's throwing a massive party and popping champagne just because a system went live on time and budget, and the servers didn't literally catch fire. But you're completely ignoring whether the business actually improved. As she points out, execution alone just doesn't cut it anymore. Value creation is the definitive measure of success.
And this right here, this is the absolute core shift every enterprise leader has to make. You must move from activities to outcomes. Activities are just vanity milestones. It's launching a platform, checking off a training module, or flipping a switch. But outcomes? Outcomes are hard, measurable business value. Are you structurally reducing operational costs? Are you accelerating your time to market? Are you measurably boosting customer retention? Listen, a successful tech deployment is entirely meaningless if it doesn't move those core business metrics. You've got to measure success by the value realized, not just the tasks you've checked off a list.
Moving forward to Section 2, pinpointing the value leaks. Let's switch into diagnostic mode to see exactly where these transformations are slowly bleeding out.
Here's the truth. Transformations rarely fail in one giant spectacular explosion. It's more like a slow leak, a death by 1,000 cuts across three major areas. First up is the misalignment leak. Notice that 68% of enterprises report leakage right at the start during planning, simply because the tech roadmap drifts away from the overarching corporate strategy. Next is the adoption leak. This is brutal. You spend millions on a state-of-the-art platform, but because of poor change management, your workforce just reverts to their old legacy workarounds. That's a 55% leakage right there in deployment. And finally, the measurement leak. If you fail to establish a hard data baseline before the transformation even starts, proving your ROI at the end is basically impossible. Now, as if those internal leaks weren't bad enough, you've got external volatility throwing fuel on the fire. Just look at these roadblocks. 81% of organizations cite strategic reliance on a provider or partner as a major risk. 75% point to regulatory shifts, and another 75% point to macroeconomic disruptions. When external forces inevitably scramble your priorities mid-flight, having a disciplined value governance framework is absolutely essential to protect your outcomes. You can't control the macroeconomy, for sure, but you can absolutely control your internal value architecture.
Let's talk about the KIR in Section 3. The mechanics of a value assurance engine. Let's explore the practical architecture you need to continuously secure that expected value.
To truly guarantee value, you have to advocate for shared technology and data foundations. We need to completely ditch the habit of tracking multi-million-dollar transformations on static, clunky spreadsheets that get updated maybe once a month. Instead, you need live, enterprise dashboards powered by modular, governed data. This gives you dynamic value tracking, letting you monitor transformation health in near real time so you can spot outcome signals early enough to actually do something about them.
Setting this up requires a major evolution in your operating model. We are moving far away from localized, traditional gate stage reviews and toward dynamic, continuous governance.
If a specific value stream is underperforming, continuous steering lets you pivot resources immediately. And critically, we are moving from ambiguous IT ownership to crystal-clear accountability structures. You have to clearly define who actually owns the value realization at every single tier of leadership. We cannot let accountability vanish into the void between IT and your business units.
And you know what? The results of this shift are undeniable. Organizations that build this engine are what we call adaptive transformers. By treating value as a continuously managed portfolio rather than just a bunch of ad hoc projects, they report 1.7 times better strategic and operational outcomes. They don't just run projects better, they have a portfolio operating system that yields massive uplifts in profitability, agility, and structural margin improvement.
The Virgin Media O2 case study is a perfect example of this in action. Following their merger, they were staring down a highly competitive telecom market. So, instead of just focusing on the sheer volume of post-merger integration tasks, they aligned their cross-functional teams around shared board-level OKRs. By assigning named value owners and making realization a systemic, deeply measured process, they locked in measurable success, rather than just cheering for delivery milestones.
Which brings us to our final section, the executive takeaways. Let's distill all this into a sharp, pragmatic checklist you can actually use.
This is your masterclass playbook, and you should literally take this into your next steering committee meeting. First, enforce a strict value baseline before a single line of code is written or a vendor contract is signed. If you don't know exactly where you are starting, you can't prove you've arrived. Second, align executive compensation and department KPIs directly to the long-term, hard outcomes of the transformation. Look, if leaders aren't paid based on value realized, the value won't be realized. And third, stand up a dedicated value realization office, or VRO. This is not just a standard project management office. This acts as an objective, centralized auditor of your transformation, actively stepping in when value signals start to drift.
So, I want to leave you with one final provocative question to challenge how your organization measures success today. Take a hard look at your current dashboards. Are you simply tracking vanity milestones and throwing parties when a system goes live? Or do you have the continuous governance, the baselines, and the live data foundations in place to lock in true business value? It's time to step away from the vanity metrics and start building your value assurance engine. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.